Well, please welcome the chaplain of the New England Patriots, Don Davis. Don, welcome to the 700 Club.
Thank you.
It's great. Man,
great
you look, I mean, that picture of you on game day, goodness gracious, I wouldn't want to be across the line from you.
Well, it's quite serious.
You say that you weren't really walking the walk. You were saying you're a Christian, but behind the scenes, no, your behavior wasn't Christian. We seem to see that a lot today. Why is that? What's going on?
We suffer from the superhero mentality. You know, superheroes always wear a mask, but then they wear those masks to hide their secret identity. We come in church, oh, blessings to you, oh, everything's great, after you just, smacked your kids and yelled at your wife and all that in the car. And, it's become so easy to do that. I think as our churches have gotten bigger, we get away from that kind of family feel. And really, Gordon, hey, how are you doing really? Or let me ask your wife, how is he doing? And then, so I think that's the problem. So it gets easy to kind of just fall into roles.
We seem to do it more and more. I know I worry, on some levels, I see this huge revival coming our way with a tremendous outpouring. At the same time, I see an incredible rise of sin, of lawlessness, of saying there are no rules anymore.
That's right.
It seems like we're in both worlds at the same time.
We kind of are. I think it's the level of mediocrity. We're no longer, or it seems as if we're falling away from the excellence that God demands. I think because one of the reasons is there's so many different divisions of Christianity. Today Christian is, or I'm not Muslim. Or Christian is, I believe in God, so I'm Christian. As opposed to Christian meaning I am a Christ follower. Matthew 16:24. He who wants to come after me, deny himself, take up the cross and follow me. We are lacking in denying ourselves. We all fall into those. And I know that was me, kind of during those first few years of my career.
I see the light in your eyes. I see the smile on your face. I know it's genuine. I can see it. How did you turn? How did you change to get that?
The first thing was God strategically putting people in my life for me to look at, first of which was Tony Dungy. This man walked and talked. He was the epitome of godliness. He was the aroma of Christ that Paul talks about. And I looked at his life and I said, you know what? I want to have it. And I can remember specifically asking him, there was one time where there was a lotto that was huge in Florida. And I asked him, Coach, if you won the lotto, would you still play? Would you still coach? Excuse me. And instead of giving me this, well, I am a Christian and I don't gamble and it's a sin, he said, you know what? If I won the lotto, I wouldn't even say goodbye. I would just leave. And that was just real. He was real, but yet he was godly. Now, I knew that he never would gamble, but he didn't need to say that. He just lived the life. And so that was one of the things that just attracted me. And I just said, God, if I can have half the impact that he had on my life to any man in the National Football League, then, I'll bless you and I'll use it. And so it really kind of changed my life to really realize that we are ambassadors. We're called to be the salt and the light. And that's our job. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our job.
What would you say to people watching you that, you had Tony Dungy, and they're going, well, I don't get to be around.
That's right.
How would you express them the hunger that you had, and how much they need that, and then what steps did you take to fill that hunger? That's
good. Well, you may not have a Tony Dungy in your life, but you do have something. God shows himself in so many enormous ways, so many ways. So I think, one is identifying that God is in everything. But two, the hunger didn't just start right then. It was daily, just digesting the Word of God. When you really get into the Word of God and you start to just eat every single day, then you develop this love and this hunger and you're passionate. You're like, wait a minute, this God created me and he loves me just like I am. But he loves me too much to leave me this way. And so as I devour that word, then it just keeps burning in us. We got to get back to our first love, as he talked about to the church at Ephesus. You've gotten away from your first love. The first love is Jesus Christ. We can't love him until we realize how much he loves us. We can't realize that unless we just get in the word. So,
how do you convey this to football players? You know, these guys are living the life. I mean, they're living large as you can get. And I imagine the temptations that hit them, not just every day, but almost every moment of the day, are pretty overwhelming.
That's absolutely right. It's more difficult because you have men who basically have all that the world holds dear. And you're trying to tell them they need Jesus. Why? My life is great. Well, you know, there's going to be an emptiness. You know, I try to take them to Solomon, King Solomon. Try to take them to Ecclesiastes. Meaningless, vanity of vanity, all is vanity. You will eventually feel this void in your life. And so why don't we feel it now as opposed to later? And that's why I think that, you know, so many athletes struggle when they leave the game, because their identity was all on football. Their identity was completely in that as opposed to being in Jesus.
They're not flying the plane, and they got to take their own luggage.
That's right. That's right.
They got to stand in line and everything else.
Right. It's different.
And nobody's knocking on the door anymore.
That's right.
What did you do with the Patriots after the Super Bowl? I imagine, you know, I could just see it in their eyes.
Yes.
I'm watching and I'm seeing it in their eyes, and you can just, they were all ready for destiny. I mean, they were thinking, you know, we got it in the bag.
That's right.
And then it just, boom.
You know, it's funny. We were praying all year. I was praying specifically for an undefeated season. I believed it was going to happen. I thought we had the team for it.
Well, your prayer got answered.
And yes, that's exactly right. And so we're standing there on the sideline. It's the very end of the game, and the David Tyree catch, and then they scored, and all the fireworks go off, and I'm standing there like, God, this isn't right, because I believe that we were going to use this. I specifically was going to use this to minister to some of these athletes. They were going to finally get this undefeated season, nothing that nobody else has ever achieved. And we were going to be able to say, now what? I was like, God, what happened? But then God gave me, after we lost, and it was a couple weeks, God gave me this wonderful revelation of, if you would have won, it would have made it harder to reach them. Their hearts would have been hardening. Because it's almost as if when we're on the mountaintop, God whispers to us and it's hard to hear. But he shouts when we're in the valley. And right now, guys are in the valley and he's shouting. But the wonderful thing is we're able to be there and say, hey, it's still okay. God is still good. But now let's identify some areas in your life that might need change.
Are we seeing that? I mean, I know you know, let's just take baseball. I won't pick on football, but in baseball, some real big heroes have come out and either been accused or have admitted to, you know, taking steroids and human growth. I mean, the number of things going on right now is pretty incredible. Is there such a pressure to I don't have another word for it, cheat? Is it so great that it just seems to be part of the culture now?
Well, now you're starting to see now the really into people's hearts. This is the heart of man right now. And that's what Paul told young Timothy. In the last days, people will be lovers of themselves. We're so much lovers of ourselves. It's so competitive. We so want the edge that we're willing to do anything to get it. And it's funny that we'll excuse it away. We'll say, well, everybody's doing it. And I use that as tried to really speak into the guys' lives. I said, it's funny. A guy with sin or doing an adultery or fornication or whatever it is, will use that same excuse. Everybody's doing it. So.
How do you respond, though, you know, to somebody who says, well, if I don't do this, I'm out?
You know, what I try to use is the phrase of, don't trade future blessings for temporary pleasures. This life is temporary. And what we do is that we trade away future blessings for temporary pleasure. Jacob and Esau, you saw it with Esau. Esau traded away a future blessing for a temporary pleasure, and athletes are doing the same thing today. So we just have to get them back. You know, I don't want to be a bearer of bad news. We just got to get them to get back to that first love, really realize, look, God made me. He created me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I don't need this other stuff. Let's just let the chips fall where they may.
All right. Keep shining. Keep being salt and light. You got the light in your eyes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being with us.